Marcus Finn had always believed that the mining colonies on Europa were the safest places in the solar system. He liked his simple life, where the biggest problem was a broken drill or a power outage. But that night, everything changed. He was walking back to his cabin after a long shift when he noticed the sky outside the dome turn an unnatural shade of blue. For a moment, Marcus thought it was just another aurora, but the light grew brighter and brighter, almost blinding. He tried to turn away, but suddenly he felt weightless, as if the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. Before he could shout for help, the world faded away. Marcus woke up with a strange sensation. The air was thicker, and the gravity felt wrong, lighter, almost floaty. He opened his eyes and saw he was no longer on Europa. Instead, he was in a vast, shining hall. The walls looked like liquid silver, shimmering with every movement. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing softly. He sat up slowly, trying to understand what had happened. Around him stood tall, graceful beings with smooth blue-gray skin and eyes like polished glass. They wore robes decorated with stars and swirling patterns. Everything about them felt alien, but not unfriendly. At the far end of the hall was a raised platform. Upon it sat a figure unlike the others, a woman with a long, flowing gown and a crown of bright stones. She watched Marcus with a curious, powerful gaze. Her presence filled the room with a gentle, humming energy. Marcus wanted to speak, to ask where he was and who these people were, but his mouth felt dry. Before he could say anything, the woman on the throne spoke. Her voice echoed inside his mind, soft yet commanding. "Welcome, Marcus Finn of Earth," she said. "I am Silara, Queen of the Veyari Dominion. You have been chosen for a reason." Marcus's heart pounded in his chest. Chosen? For what? He swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. "Why am I here?" he managed to say. Queen Silara smiled gently. "Our people have watched humanity for many years. You have shown courage, creativity, and resilience. We wish to test your heart and mind. As a symbol of our goodwill, I will grant you 3 wishes. You may ask for anything. Power, knowledge, freedom. The choice is yours." Marcus stared at her in disbelief. Was this a dream? Was he hallucinating? The other Veyari watched in silence, their faces unreadable. He pinched himself, but the pain was real. This was happening. He looked around, searching for any sign of danger. But there was only curiosity and anticipation in the room. He realized that whatever happened next could change not just his own life, but the fate of humanity. Marcus took a deep breath. He knew he had to choose wisely. The first wish could decide everything. Marcus stood frozen in front of the alien queen. Her offer echoed in his mind. 3 wishes, anything you desire. It sounded like a fairy tale, but everything around him was real, too real. The Veyari guards watched him with careful eyes, waiting for his next move. Marcus remembered stories of people who got wishes, how greedy wishes always brought trouble. He didn't want to make a mistake. The silence in the throne room was thick. He felt everyone's gaze on him. He thought about wishing for power or a way back home. But deep down, Marcus knew this was bigger than himself. The Veyari had said they had watched humanity for years. But why? What did they want? What was the true reason he was here? Marcus took a deep breath and looked straight at Queen Silara. His voice was nervous but steady. "My first wish," he said, "is to know the truth behind the Veyari's interest in humanity. I want to understand why you brought me here." The hall grew absolutely silent. Some of the Veyari looked shocked, and others whispered to each other in their musical language. The queen's eyes widened, just for a second, as if she hadn't expected this wish. Queen Silara stood and stepped down from her throne. As she moved closer, Marcus felt a strange warmth in the air. She lifted her hand, and a small glowing sphere appeared, floating between them. "This wish is rare," she said softly. "Most wish for riches or return to their world. But you wish for knowledge, the truth. She nodded, and the sphere grew larger until it floated above Marcus's head. Suddenly, Marcus's mind filled with images and sounds, rushing through him like a powerful river. He saw distant stars and alien ships traveling through vast tunnels of energy, wormholes connecting worlds. He saw the Veyari Empire, once mighty, now slowly crumbling. He saw scientists, engineers, and even children, all searching for something desperately. Then he saw Earth, his own blue planet. He watched scenes of human life: laughter, war, invention, hope. He felt both the fear and the courage that made humanity strong. Then the reason became clear. Humans had something the Veyari needed: a rare kind of mind, a special mental resonance that allowed humans to interact with the fabric of space in ways the Veyari could not. The images faded. Marcus gasped, sweat on his brow. He could hardly believe what he'd seen. He realized the Veyari needed humans to help save their dying empire by stabilizing the wormholes they depended on. Queen Silura watched him carefully. "Now you know the truth, Marcus Finn. We need your help. The fate of 2 civilizations may depend on your next wishes." Marcus was left speechless, not by the queen, but by the truth itself. He had thought his wish was simple, but it had changed everything. Now the responsibility was heavier than ever. Marcus stood silent in the middle of the shining throne room. The images from the queen's vision still flashed in his mind: stars swirling, alien cities falling, and humanity's strange, hidden power. He understood now why the Veyari had brought him here, but he wondered if the other Veyari knew the full truth. The Veyari courtiers watched him closely, whispering among themselves. Some looked afraid, others curious, and a few seemed almost angry. Marcus could feel the pressure building. His first wish had changed the mood in the entire hall. Queen Silura turned to her people and raised her hand for silence. "Let all here witness," she said, her voice echoing, "the truth of humanity's gift. Their minds can shape the energy tunnels that keep our worlds united. Without them, our empire will fall apart." The courtiers fell silent. Some bowed their heads, accepting her words. Others looked at Marcus as if seeing him for the first time. Marcus suddenly felt very small. Back on Europa, he was just an engineer, fixing machines and worrying about dinner. Now, he was the key to an entire civilization's future. He wanted to ask so many questions, but his throat was tight with fear and wonder. The queen stepped closer and spoke quietly so only Marcus could hear. "You are brave to ask for truth first. Many would have wasted the wish. Now you see our need. Will you help us?" Marcus hesitated. He thought of home, his friends, his quiet life, the blue-white ice fields of Europa. He missed them already, but he also thought of the Veyari children he had seen in the vision, their faces full of hope and worry. He realized that helping them might save not just the Veyari, but maybe even Earth someday. He nodded slowly. "If I can help, I will try," Marcus said. "But I am just one man. I don't even know how to use this gift." The queen smiled, her eyes softer now. "You are not alone. Others like you will be found. But you must show them the way. Your courage gives us hope." Suddenly, the doors at the end of the hall burst open. A group of Veyari scientists hurried in, carrying glowing tablets and strange devices. One of them, a tall, thin woman, bowed to the queen and then turned to Marcus. "We have waited so long for this," she said eagerly. "Will you let us study your mind? With your help, we can learn to stabilize the wormholes again. Our whole empire is watching." Marcus felt dizzy, but he straightened his back and nodded. If his mind was the key, he would open the door, no matter how scared he felt. The queen watched him proudly. "Your journey has just begun, Marcus Finn. The next wish you make will shape both our worlds." As the scientists led Marcus away, he looked back at the queen and realized the weight of what had happened. His adventure was only beginning. and the fate of millions rested on his choices. Marcus followed the Vayari scientists through long, glowing corridors. Each step made him more nervous, but also more curious. The walls of the ship seemed alive, pulsing softly with every movement. He passed rooms full of strange machines, bubbling liquids, and floating screens filled with alien text. Finally, they reached a round chamber at the center of the ship. In the middle stood a large silver chair surrounded by swirling lights. The head scientist, the tall woman from earlier, smiled at him kindly. "Please sit. We will only observe your thoughts, not harm you," she promised. Marcus took a deep breath and sat down. As soon as he touched the chair, a gentle warmth spread through his body. The lights spun faster, and images appeared in the air. Childhood memories, moments of fear and courage, faces of people he loved. The scientists watched quietly, making notes on their tablets. He tried to relax, but it was strange having his mind on display. After a few minutes, the lights slowed down and the chair grew cool. The head scientist bowed. "Thank you, Marcus Finn. Your mind is unique. With training, you could help us save the wormholes." Marcus stood up, still shaky. "How much time do we have?" he asked. The scientist's face turned serious. "Not long. Some of our wormholes are already unstable. If they collapse, entire worlds will be cut off from the Empire. Food, medicine, and even families will be lost." Marcus swallowed hard. The responsibility felt even heavier now. Suddenly, a soft chime rang through the ship. The scientists bowed again and left. The door opened, and Queen Silura entered, her robes trailing behind her. She walked up to Marcus, her eyes full of wisdom and worry. "You did well," she said softly. "But you must understand, you are now part of a bigger game. There are those in my court who do not trust humans. Some even want to use force to control Earth. But I believe in hope, not fear." Marcus looked into her eyes and saw her honesty. "What do you want me to do?" Silura glanced at the walls, as if searching for hidden enemies. "Help me make an alliance between our peoples. If you use your next wish wisely, you can help bring peace and trust. But choose carefully. There are others who will try to stop us, some even in this ship." Marcus felt a chill. He realized the Vayari were not all united. Some wanted power, others wanted peace. His next wish could start a war or save both their worlds. The queen touched his shoulder. "You are not alone. I will guide you, but you must decide for yourself." Marcus nodded. He felt afraid, but also brave. He promised himself he would not waste his chance. As the queen led him back toward the throne room, Marcus knew his second wish had to be more than just for himself. It had to be something that could bring two worlds together and protect them both from the shadows growing in the dark corners of the Empire. The palace felt different to Marcus as he walked beside Queen Silura. He noticed the whispers in the long hallways, the nervous glances of servants, and the way some Vayari guards put their hands on their strange weapons when he passed. It was clear not everyone was happy about a human having so much power and trust. When they returned to the throne room, the queen called for a meeting with her council. The room filled quickly with Vayari nobles, scientists, and generals. Each of them took their seat in silence. Marcus could feel their eyes on him, curious, doubtful, even angry. Queen Silura stood and raised her hand. "Marcus Finn is our guest and our hope," she said, her voice strong. "His first wish has shown us the truth. We must work with humanity to save our worlds." One general stood, tall and proud, his eyes hard as stone. "How can we trust an outsider?" he demanded. "What if humans use their power against us? What if he betrays us in the end?" Marcus felt a wave of fear, but he remembered what the queen said about hope and courage. He stepped forward and faced the council. "I know I am only one man," he began, "but humans have always solved problems by thinking in new ways. Maybe together, we can find an answer no one has seen before." A few of the Vayari looked doubtful, but others listened with interest. Marcus saw a map of the Empire on a glowing screen behind the council. He noticed lines showing the wormholes, some blinking red. He asked to see the data about the failing wormholes. The scientists were surprised, but the Queen nodded. They shared the information, and Marcus studied it carefully. After a few minutes, he pointed to a spot on the map. "Have you tried sending signals at different frequencies here?" he asked. "On Earth, sometimes a small change can make a broken machine work again." The scientists murmured and started running simulations. Suddenly, one shouted in excitement, "It works! The signal stabilizes the field for a short time." The council was shocked. The general looked at Marcus with new respect, though his face stayed stern. "Perhaps there is value in a fresh mind after all," he admitted. But Marcus knew this was only a small step. He realized the real danger was not just the wormholes breaking down, but the fear and mistrust growing among the Veyari. If they could not work together, nothing would be saved. As the meeting ended, the Queen leaned in close. "Your ideas have given us hope, Marcus. But be careful. There are those who do not want peace. They will try to stop you. And me." Marcus nodded. He had seen enough in the Veyari faces to know the Queen was right. He decided that his next wish must help everyone communicate better, to break the wall of mistrust that threatened both their worlds. And somewhere, hidden in the shadows, a pair of angry eyes watched Marcus, already planning to strike. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He walked alone in the palace gardens, under a sky filled with strange stars and moons. The air was cool, and the plants glowed with soft blue light. He thought about all he had seen, the Queen's trust, the council's doubts, and the angry eyes watching him from the shadows. He knew the time for his second wish was near. It had to be something bigger than himself, something that could help both humans and Veyari. But what? Suddenly, the Queen appeared beside him. She moved so quietly that Marcus barely noticed her until she spoke. "You are troubled, Marcus Finn. Tell me your thoughts." He looked at her, grateful for her kindness. "Your people are afraid, Queen Silura. They do not trust humans, and even some do not trust each other. We need to find a way for everyone to understand one another, not just with words, but truly." The Queen nodded, her eyes wise. "In our history, there were once devices that helped beings share not just language, but feelings and intentions. But they were lost long ago." Marcus felt hope rising in his chest. "Then I know my second wish." They returned to the throne room. The Queen called her council, and once more, the Veyari gathered. This time, Marcus spoke with confidence. "For my second wish, I ask for a universal translator, a device that lets every being truly understand not just words, but the feelings and intentions behind them." A murmur ran through the hall. The scientists and nobles looked at each other in surprise. The Queen smiled, pleased by his wish. "A wise request, Marcus Finn. It shall be granted." She held out her hand, and a shimmering blue orb appeared. Light filled the room as the orb floated to Marcus's palm, changing shape until it became a small, clear crystal. The Queen explained, "This translator can link with any mind. With it, misunderstandings will become rare. Use it well." Marcus placed the crystal to his ear. At first, nothing happened. But then, as he listened to the council speaking in their own tongue, he could sense not just the words, but the meaning and emotion behind them. He understood when one noble felt nervous, when another felt hope, and when a third hid fear behind harsh words. He passed the device around. As others used it, walls began to fall. Arguments softened. Even the strict general from before paused, realizing Marcus's true intentions for the first time. For the first time, human and Veyari truly talked, really talked. But while most of the council was amazed, one shadowy figure slipped out quietly. He did not like peace. He wanted power, and he saw Marcus as a threat to everything he desired. Later, as Marcus stood in the garden again, he felt proud of his wish. But deep inside, he knew the real test was still coming. True understanding was powerful, but it could also reveal secrets some wanted to keep hidden. The peace Marcus hoped for was still fragile, and a new danger was already on its way. The days after Marcus's second wish felt full of hope. The Universal Translator brought change to the palace. For the first time, Veyari and human scientists shared ideas without confusion. The council meetings were calmer, and even the guards smiled when they saw Marcus. But beneath the surface, not everyone was happy. In the quiet corners of the palace, a Veyari named Lorak watched everything closely. He had been an advisor to the queen once, but now he wanted power for himself. He believed peace with humans would make the Veyari weak. Lorak sent secret messages to a dangerous group, the Zilarks Confederation, enemies of the Veyari. One night, as Marcus sat in his room, reading messages from Earth on a small device the queen had given him, he heard a soft tap at the door. Before he could answer, a young Veyari servant rushed in, eyes wide with fear. "Marcus Finn, you must come quickly," she whispered. "There are strangers in the palace. They are not Veyari. They wear dark armor and carry weapons. Please, you must hide." Marcus's heart raced. He remembered the shadowy figure who had left the council room so quietly after his wish. Now, he realized, that person was no friend. Marcus grabbed the Universal Translator and followed the servant down a secret passage. As they moved through the dark halls, Marcus heard shouts and the sound of laser weapons. He saw flashes of red light against the walls. Somewhere, the queen's guards were fighting to protect her. Suddenly, a group of armored figures appeared in front of them, blocking their path. Their helmets had no faces, only glowing red eyes. The servant screamed and ran, but Marcus stood frozen. He held the crystal translator tightly, hoping for a miracle. Before the attackers could grab him, Queen Silara herself appeared, surrounded by her royal guards. She raised her hand, and a field of bright energy formed around Marcus. The attackers fired their weapons, but the shots bounced away. "Run, Marcus," the queen shouted. "Find the main hall and stay with the others." Marcus did not argue. He raced through the twisting corridors, his mind racing. He reached the main hall, where many Veyari, young and old, had gathered. Some were crying, others tried to comfort them. The Universal Translator let Marcus speak to them all. "Stay calm," he said. "Help is coming. We must work together." The crowd listened. For a moment, fear turned into unity. Back in the throne room, Queen Silara faced Lorak, who had removed his mask. "You have betrayed your people," she said. Lorak smiled coldly. "The Zilarks will rule now. The humans are nothing. And Marcus Finn will not leave this place alive." But Marcus was already planning. He knew humanity's true power was not just in technology, but in courage and teamwork. He had faced danger before, and he would not give up now. The palace was no longer peaceful. Alarms blared in the halls, and frightened Veyari huddled together in the main chamber. Marcus looked at their faces, some filled with fear, others with hope. He knew he could not let them down. He stood up on a raised platform so everyone could see him. "Listen," Marcus shouted, his voice louder than he thought possible. "We must stay calm. We have faced danger before, and we survived by helping each other." With the Universal Translator, his words reached every ear and every heart. The Veyari listened. A brave young Veyari named Selen stepped forward. "What can we do? We are not soldiers. We can still fight back," Marcus said. "Not with weapons, but with our minds and courage. We must protect each other, block the doors, and help the Queen's guards wherever we can." Selen nodded and began organizing the others. Some Veyari used their technology to create energy shields at the doorways. Others formed teams to help the injured. Marcus saw that even in fear, people could come together. Suddenly, the doors to the chamber shook. The Zilark soldiers tried to break in. The energy shields held for now, but everyone knew they would not last forever. Marcus remembered something from his days as an engineer. "Selen, do you have access to the palace control systems?" he asked. Selen nodded. Yes, I can connect from here. Good. If we can overload the shields in the right way, we might create a blast of energy that can knock back the attackers, Marcus explained. Selen quickly began working on a small panel. Marcus and a few others helped her, following his instructions. Within minutes, the panel flashed green. Ready. When I give the signal, drop the shield for 1 second, and then overload it, Marcus ordered. The doors burst open, and Zelark's soldiers rushed in. The room filled with panic. At the last second, Marcus shouted, "Now." Selen pressed the button. The shields dropped, and for a heartbeat, the soldiers charged forward. Then a bright flash of energy exploded from the doorway, knocking the invaders back and sealing the entrance with melted metal. Everyone cheered, relief washing over the crowd. Marcus knew it was not over, but they had won a small victory. Suddenly, Queen Silara entered, her robes torn but her spirit strong. "You have done well, Marcus Finn," she said. "You showed true leadership. My people and yours are stronger together." Marcus felt a surge of pride. For the first time, Veyari and humans stood side by side as allies, not strangers. But outside, Lorik and the Zelarks were gathering their forces. The palace might not hold much longer. The queen turned to Marcus, her voice full of hope and urgency. "You still have one wish left, Marcus. It could save us all or doom us. The choice is yours." Marcus looked around at the faces of his new friends. He knew the next wish would be the most important decision of his life. Marcus stood in the crowded hall, surrounded by the hopeful faces of Veyari and humans. The energy shields flickered. The sounds of battle echoed in the distance as Lorik and the Zelarks gathered for another attack. Marcus felt the weight of everyone's hopes on his shoulders. He had only one wish left. It could change everything. Queen Silara came to him, her voice soft but urgent. "Marcus Finn, time is short. The Zelarks will not stop. You must choose your wish now." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about all he had seen: fear, mistrust, bravery, and kindness. He realized that weapons and technology alone would not save them. Only something deeper could bring true peace. He remembered how the universal translator helped people understand each other. What if everyone could feel that same understanding and courage? He looked up, his decision clear. "Queen Silara, for my final wish, I ask for the courage in every heart to see others as allies before enemies." The queen's eyes widened. A quiet hush fell over the hall. Marcus wondered if such a wish was even possible. But the queen smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "A wish both wise and rare," she said. She raised her hands, and a wave of soft blue light filled the room. The light moved through the walls, flowing out into the city, and beyond, across the empire, and into the Zelark ships themselves. For a moment, everything was quiet. Marcus felt a warmth inside, a gentle strength. He looked at Selen, the brave young Veyari, and saw hope in her eyes. The other Veyari around him stood taller, braver, and more open. Outside, the Zelark soldiers, ready to attack, suddenly hesitated. The light touched them too. They looked at each other, feeling doubt and confusion. Was the enemy truly so different? Was this fight really worth the pain? Lorak, standing at the front of his troops, felt the wave of courage and understanding too. For the first time, anger faded from his heart. He lowered his weapon, unsure of what to do. All around him, Zelarks and Veyari soldiers stopped fighting. Queen Silara stepped outside the palace and spoke loudly, her voice carried by the translator crystal. "Let us end this battle. Let us talk, not fight." Slowly, the Zelarks laid down their arms. The Veyari guards lowered their shields. The great hall, once filled with fear, now overflowed with relief and joy. Marcus could hardly believe what he was seeing. He realized that true victory was not about defeating the enemy, but changing hearts and minds. His wish had worked, At least for now. The palace was safe. The war was over, and hope had returned to the empire. The queen smiled at Marcus. "You have saved more than just my people. You have saved the future itself." Marcus felt tired, but also proud. He knew the road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time, it was a road they would walk together. Peace had come to the Veyari palace, and the signs of battle slowly faded away. For the first time in many years, Veyari and humans sat together, sharing stories and plans for the future. Marcus Finn walked through the palace halls and gardens, feeling a calm he had not known since arriving in this strange world. News of the peace spread quickly across the empire. On every world, Veyari and Zelark's leaders gathered, talking not with anger but with hope. The courage to see each other as allies, not enemies, changed the way everyone spoke and acted. Old wounds began to heal, and new friendships formed. One morning, Queen Silara called Marcus to the Grand Hall. The air was filled with excitement. Nobles, scientists, guards, and even children from many worlds waited to see what would happen next. Marcus stood in front of the queen, still a little unsure. He had never wanted fame or power, only to help. Queen Silara smiled warmly at him. "Marcus Finn, you have given us more than you know. With your wishes, you have saved not just my people, but many worlds. You have shown us the best of humanity." She held up a shining silver medallion and placed it around Marcus's neck. The crowd cheered and clapped. For a moment, Marcus felt embarrassed, but he was also proud. He remembered all the fear and doubt, and how he had chosen to trust, to help, and to wish for peace. Then the queen spoke again. "I would like you to be the first official ambassador between Earth and the Veyari Dominion. Will you help us build a future together?" Marcus looked out at the crowd. He saw Selen, the brave young Veyari, smiling at him. He saw the scientists who had become his friends, and the children who now played together without fear. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also the excitement of new adventures. He nodded. "I would be honored, Queen Silara. I promise to do my best." The celebrations lasted for days. People shared food, music, and stories from every world. Marcus found that he was not just a guest anymore. He was part of a new family, a bridge between two worlds. Later, as Marcus walked in the quiet garden, Queen Silara joined him. "Did you ever imagine your wishes would change so much?" she asked. Marcus shook his head, smiling. "I just wanted to do the right thing." The queen laughed softly. "Sometimes, that is all it takes to make history." As the two watched the stars together, Marcus knew there would still be problems and challenges ahead. But with courage, trust, and friendship, anything was possible. His journey had started with a simple wish and ended with a new future for many worlds. Marcus Finn, the man who dared to wish for more than himself, had left a legacy that would never be forgotten.